Well, another exciting trade diversification session with, as it turns out, the three Johns. Uh, Good morning, Juan Navarro. How are you?
Very good. Thank you. It's a great pleasure being here. Thank you.
Absolutely. Well, as I indicated, the trade diversification sessions are actually a extension of the trade committee of the Peninsula Chamber of Commerce. Now, some of us know, and for those that don't, the Peninsula Chamber of Commerce is ostensibly representing three municipalities on Lower Vancouver Island, that being North Saanich, Sydney, and Central Saanich, and represent to many a hidden manufacturing powerhouse. There are at least 60 to 70 manufacturers within those three municipalities, probably more if you include the smaller companies. And these are international companies all doing bazillions of dollars of work under the radar. Most folks don't know that. And so when we talk about trade, it is really very applicable to this area and to this discussion. I very much look forward to talking to today, Juan.
Thank you. No, it's a big pleasure. Thank you for the invitation. I think what you're doing together is amazing because you are not supporting Canadian business. Actually, I will say business everywhere. This is a great initiative. I'm very glad to be here today.
And if I could just add, Juan and I met years ago at the annual conference of the Forum for International Trade Training. Carolyn has been on our interview twice. Carolyn Tompkins. Juan is a rare combination of an economist, an analyst. He's published learned papers on trade policy for APEC, the Asia Pacific Foundation of Canada, a number of international organizations, as well as having been a central banker in Mexico prior to moving to Canada with his family. And in this discussion of trade diversification, I think it's important that we provide an opportunity to discuss what is for NAFTA, it's a three-way Rubik's Cube. And there has been attention paid to Mexico in the debate in Canada, but I think it has been, the bit I've seen has been largely political and somewhat uninformed.
Yes.
And we've spoke with former Ambassador David Winfield recently, and who lives in Mexico, as you know. And my aim, actually, Juan, is to get you and David Winfield and the other two Johns here. So David and three Johns on a four-way conversation.
That's quite a group.
But it's a pleasure to welcome you this morning. And Juan brings an unusual talent, as I said, an analytical economist who is a serial entrepreneur like yourself.
Oh, well, you have the same disease. Well done.
And his CMX Partnership has been in the business of bringing trade missions to Canada, holding conferences on Canada-Mexico for several years. So he's a theoretical economist who's a trade practitioner and obviously an entrepreneur. Juan, can you give us just a thumbnail sketch of this whole trade war situation from the Mexican perspective?
Yes, thank you. I think right now we are experiencing very complex and uncertain times, and I think many of these issues is because the tariffs. I think that tariffs imposition on Mexico and Canada as well, and many countries around the globe for the U.S. Administration has created a lot of tension and problems for the global economy. So I think that it's very, very important for us as entrepreneurs, business owners, and analysts try to provide all the people and society a great explanation of why these tariffs are harming the business, which is the core of the discussion. I think that we need to protect them. I think that we need to recognize the impact, the negative impact that these measures are having in Mexico, of course, in Canada as well, and in many countries that are linked through supply chain. I think right now the connectivity that business have around supply chains is huge, and I think we need to protect business in order that they can continue operating, because if not, the global economy and specifically North America, where Canada and Mexico and the US share this region, could be huge damage. So I think many sectors are experiencing these troubles, and I think we need to provide a clear mindset in order to provide the solutions that everybody is expecting that we discuss together, right? So I think that right now the free trade agreement between the three countries is the great framework that we are experiencing the great benefits. Of course, it can be improved, but I think the best approach is to create a dialogue and a space, and we have been trying to do that by ourselves during the last decade.
What we're talking about here is a three-way trade of approximately $2 trillion a year, which, as you're suggesting, Juan, it's worth protecting, not in a tariff sense, but it's worth maintaining as much economic freedom as possible.
Yes, absolutely. I think the best contribution of this free trade agreement is that everybody has a framework to refer to, and in order to promote exports, imports, and business overall, and collaboration. I think predictability is a key word, where all the business in the three countries can support each other and try to build together. So I think the framework has been proven, has been tested for the last 30 years, first as NAFTA and now as CUSMA. And hopefully in the new review, they can continue building this stronger and better for everybody.
In the case of Canada,
many questions.
Just in the case of Canada, of course, we negotiated a free trade arrangement with the United States in the 90s, 80s. And in the recession of the 90s, it was enhanced access to the US market and US products that kept the Canadian economy off the floor, right? We were able to grow through a tough period. What's been the impact on the Mexican economy of NAFTA?
I think it's huge. I think there are a lot of benefits for Mexico, for Canada, and the US. Just to share some benefits that the US, because sometimes they believe that they have been losing, and in my perspective, that's not true. I think CUSMA has provided incredible positive results for the US economy. I think the trade that they have created through this framework is bigger than if they have been doing this alone. I think around 13 million of jobs if just sustained through the trade agreement with Canada and Mexico, and just for the US, their economy is growing because these opportunities for business. There are some studies that mention that they have grown 50% more than without any agreement in place like this. So I think making the case to use the numbers in the proper way is the best approach to discuss and try to elaborate better policies.
Juan, I have so many questions for you, but let me start with this piece. And I don't have anywhere near the expertise the two of you have. So my eyes are through the lens of, let's say, a smaller business. Now, a smaller business could be a $50 million, 200 employee business in Canada. And so it's not necessarily the 1 to 10. It could be a substantive sized business, still small in international terms. Many of us think of the CUSMA agreement, the NAFTA agreement, as an agreement where Canada has favorable trading relationship with the U.S. and Mexico has favorable trading with the U.S. How much of that trade is actually Canada having a favorable treatment with Mexico? Because we don't actually see it as sort of us and you, more like us dealing with the U.S.
Yes. No, I think that thanks for the question, but I think Canada is getting a lot of benefits. It's not casualty that they are right now the third largest trading partner from Mexico. So I think that the window that opens through these trade tools is unique. And I think right now more business are realizing, and actually I'm very happy to see that more SMEs, small and business owners, are trying to know more about how to utilize. I think that has been the challenge during the last years, that we need to provide that training in order that the SMEs can utilize this framework. And I can tell you, as an entrepreneur, during my 12 years here in Canada, I have been using the CUSMA before the NAFTA, and I was really pleased to see the zero tariffs offer, that it was amazing, and it was a great opportunity for me in order to compete against large enterprises. During my first years here in Canada, I had the opportunity to be awarded for as one of the small business doing a good job in international trade, and that's possible because I was using the CUSMA and the NAFTA, and I think that gave me the opportunity to bring Mexican brands to the Canadian market, but also to help Canadian companies interested in doing business in Mexico. So I think for Canada has been a lot of benefits, not only from jobs, but also to increase their opportunities and finding new partners. I have been also very supportive of not only focus on sell or purchase products, but actually to discuss partnerships, and why not thinking in Canadian, Mexican, and American business working together to go to other regions.
Well, sorry, John, I have a follow-up question, and then we'll default to yourself. Thank you, because it just sort of naturally, this committee and sort of the leadership from John Treleaven emerged earlier in the year after, of course, Trump declared a tariff war on the world. And as we started to put together topics for discussion, it occurred to us, and I guess this shouldn't be a surprise, that many Canadian businesses don't know how to trade beyond the US. We're so comfortable just trading to our southern neighbors that, in fact, when we're forced to look elsewhere, we don't know how to do it. So we pretty much rapidly got a CEO of FIT, which is Canada, a vehicle by which businesses can learn how to trade with other countries. And it's not just product fit, it's culture fit, money fit, all kinds of different ways in which they have to work together. Juan, what part of that training do you, what do you provide, or how can you help us if a Canadian company is going, Juan, I want to be part of trading with Mexico. How do I do that? How do I learn about that?
Yes, I think this is very important to make aware of to Canadian business, but business around North America, that there are some activities that need to be done by themselves, that they need to take the ownership in order to move forward. So I have 4 key advice usually. The first is that they need to make time for understand the market they want to enter. So they need to understand the culture, the regulations, the regional difference, because one country is not the same across the different provinces, right? So for me, part of the advice is that they need to travel there. Of course, we are very comfortable using the internet and having virtual meetings, but they don't replace actually the essential in-person meetings that you need to carry out. So that's a first advice. Also, I also recommend to start building strong local relationships, and in that regard, they need to find trusted partners and suppliers they can work together, because that alone, sometimes they have a lot of data, but they don't have partners, they don't have a relevant source in those foreign markets. So they need to establish them, and one basic advice that I always provide is please invest in membership, invest in be part of one local chamber, invest in be part of business association on the ground, because that will give you a great knowledge that you cannot get from the comfort of your home. And that third advice is do your homework and seek the right guidance. Sometimes they are asking me, I'm a business consultant, they are asking me for tasks that they need to do by themselves. I can provide a lot of support, but there are some tasks that just depend from them, from making, and the most important is making the decision. I cannot make the decision for themselves, but of course, at the same time, they need to use those support or that ecosystem. And in the case of Canada, we have an amazing framework of institutions supporting Canadian entrepreneurs, from the Trade Commissioner Service to Export Development Canada to provincial offices in Mexico, for instance. So there is a lot, but also they need to complement this with the private sector business consultancy. That in my case, for instance, we offer a lot of market analysis that maybe are very specific, and I know that John Feleven knows very well about the key information that we need. It's not the same industry reports that company specific reports that they need to answer a specific question about the product and services, right? And just the final advice that I provide to Canadian and Mexican companies interested in doing business in the other market is they need to be patient and commitment. So they need to invest the time. This is not something that will happen in 1 month, in 1 semester, 1 year. They need to be disciplined and determined because that truly matters. The number of issues that they need to solve in order to do this work is huge. They need to learn a lot. They need to manage a lot of things, and they need to, in the same time, run their own business. So that can feel overwhelming. So they need to be mentally prepared, physically prepared as well, in order to truly succeed. So that's my experience dealing with SMEs and large companies.
I
And of
love
course,
it.
throughout all of that, Juan, you're absolutely right. They've got to make money. They're profit-making enterprises, right? So they got to be smart at it.
Absolutely.
And just as in 1996, I think we had a trade fair in Mexico City to celebrate NAFTA. The Prime Minister attended, and we had like 125 or 130 companies. It was brilliant. It was well attended. Orders took place. It was a showcase for Canada to reach out to various sectors of the Mexican economy to look at the promise of what NAFTA had to bring. In your business, you've done something that is quite amazing.
Thank you.
As a private business person, you have brought trade missions of Mexican companies to Canada. These aren't government, this is a private sector initiative. And you've done that for years. I've had the privilege of meeting a couple of the groups that have come up.
Thank you.
What is their reaction to selling in the Canadian market? You've sort of given us the ABCs of being successful in Mexico, but from what is their reaction to the programs you've provided? And for our audience, Juan has done a brilliant job of exposing these Mexican business owners to a wide range of Canadian companies and public officials.
No, thank you for the question, John. Yes, I have been privileged to make possible a lot of trade mission during the last decade, bringing Mexican companies to Canada, and that gave me the opportunity to see the magic of creating these spaces. I think that we have experienced firsthand that there is not just a real opportunity, but actually I can see the results because I have been the negotiations on the tables, and I have seen Mexican companies that they have a vision, they had a dream, but suddenly it makes true because there is a counterpart here in Canada that is also willing to participate in that project that a Mexican company is interested to promote, even as a trade or investment. So that usually I would say 99% of the Mexican companies traveling to Canada, they are excited because they confirm that this is not just a possibility; it's real, and there is a lot of interest. I think that's the best part, that there is an empathy from the Canadian side to listen and to try to build something together, right? Actually, through these business trips, they enrich their initial vision, because sometimes they were not thinking just in the short term just to sell a product, and suddenly they have the possibility of building a partnership and finding real partners here in Canada. So for me, that has been a unique experience to facilitate these spaces where business people, experts, authorities, and I have to say humbly, amazing leaders like you have been present, adding all your own experience during the last years, where you have been trying to push this collaboration, and I'm very humble to contribute in my own way too.
One of the biggest barriers to increasing international trade for a Canadian company versus working with the U.S. is language.
Oh, yes.
And you just can't get around that. Although there are a bazillion ways now using technology and that one can minimize that barrier. If one were to ask your consultancy business for help beyond Mexico into South America, potentially Brazil, is that something you provide?
Yes, absolutely. Yes, we are a business consultancy with a possibility to work in other countries. Actually, we have been working, as John mentioned, with the APEC. We have been working with the countries in the Asia Pacific, and it includes from Australia, Japan, and to Chile, to Peru, and Latin America. And also, we have some initiatives right now with Europe, and very proud of being facilitating from Vancouver Island, BC, to the world this kind of business initiatives and support.
If I'm not wrong, you're also executing a project at the moment with Costa Rica, a country in which I lived for 2 years,
Yes,
several
you're
decades.
totally right. Very excited to see how many countries and governments and businesses are interested in connecting with Canada and with other countries, and we are trying to facilitate and be a bridge to facilitate those conversations.
One, we're trying to be as objective as possible, but sometimes subjectivity does get involved in business decisions, and sometimes so does naivety and ignorance. Okay. And so I've been noting on TV some political challenges for the Mexican government over the last month. We're sitting here mid-December 2025. What is the status of that for a Canadian business to be looking at doing business with Mexico?
Yes, I think that the Mexico is a great opportunity to invest and do business, not only because I have a connection with the country. I'm originally from Mexico and I have my family there. But as John said before, I was a central banker. I was doing economic analysis. And with that background, it gives me the elements to make a proper assessment of the different economies in the regional and national levels. And I can tell you, Mexico, even though all the troubles that any economy has, I think they have been doing very well. I think many people recognize, I think, the federal government, how they have been managing the trade tensions. From my own perspective, I think President Sheinbaum has approached the trade relationship with both with Canada and the U.S. with a lot of knowledge, leadership, and I will say steadiness. And a clear vision on protecting the interests, of course, of Mexican, but also from the region. I think she has been navigating such a complex agenda with the U.S., which is not a simple task. But I think her administration has maintained open communication, which is key, has prioritized, of course, cooperation on shared challenges, and ensure that Mexico's voice is heard, and respectively with other countries, including the U.S. So I think the Mexican government is offering a positive environment for Canadian and other countries, and we can see that in the indicators. Mexico right now is one of the top destination for foreign investment, and manufacturing and other sector continue growing because there is a stability. And I think there are frameworks like the CUSMA that provides certainty for business.
What sticks in my mind are the events at the Kennedy Center a few days ago, when the three official amigos actually did get together, and let us say the strained smiles, the level of politeness was as appropriate to the occasion. But what's in my mind as well is when NAFTA became a reality, and the leaders of these three countries at that time were openly joyful because they had seen the future and they had been able to create it. I would say, Juan, you and your work and your professional achievements, as you pointed out, are somewhat a logical outgrowth of that construct. But you know what? We never could ever predict that somebody of your background and curiosity and organizational abilities would be part of the micro-stitching that's required to bind Canada and Mexico, but the three amigos. It's remarkable. And I think that since we all live in Greater Victoria, we're lucky. And business in this community is lucky to have you as a full member of the community.
Yes.
I
Yes.
appreciate it. Thank you.
Yes,
Thank you for
Juan,
your
thank
kind
you
words.
very much. Absolutely. So there is a sort of a natural reality to conducting conversations online, that being that most folks don't have a long attention span. So we tend to end our conversations at about 30 minutes, which is where we're at. And I think, Juan, this has been very, very productive. I find this very helpful. If somebody wants to start to diversify their trade to Mexico, we have a pathway and an asset to help us get there. I think, though, that things move at such a rapid pace, not only digitally but politically, and we have to have you back within 3 months.
I would love it. And I
Excellent.
really believe in what you propose, that this is about human connections. And I'm really committed to facilitate those. Thank you for
Thank you.
having me and
Thank you
looking
very
Thank you
forward
very
to
much.
much.
having a new
Muchísimas
conversation.
gracias.
Gracias.
Nos vemos.
Take
Thank
care.
you. Hasta pronto. Bye.